Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum, my third secondary students. Welcome to the second semester of your lessons online for your book Travel of 6, and today we have a revision for Unit 3. So this is going to be easy because you're going to remember what we've done for Unit 3. So as usual, today we have 5 things to remember. So today we will learn how to practice speaking in which a student or the student solves a problem. Number 2, to use some words and expressions correctly. 3, to apply the listening skill. And 4, to write a letter of application. And 5, to use appropriate phrases in writing an essay. So for number 1, we're going to try to speak, and while we're speaking, we're going to learn how we find some solutions for some problems for students. And for number 2, we're going to use some new vocabulary, some expressions. And for 3, we're going to have some listening skills. So I really ask you to get your headphones ready. We're going to listen to a program about, identifying how people are talented or not. And for number 4, we're going to remember how we write a letter of application, how to apply for a job. And today we're going to apply for a volunteer job. And for 5, we're going to use some phrases that help us write in a very good way. So you remember the 2 geniuses, those 2 who have really special talents. This is Leonardo da Vinci, who painted the Mona Lisa painting, one of the most expensive and most famous paintings all around the world. And the second one is Albert Einstein, who's the master of science and math. So what do we know about people? We just told you about these people. They're very famous. They call it, the mastermind of drawing and painting. Leonardo da Vinci, a great talented person, and Albert Einstein, a very great genius who really excelled in math and science. So this is the Mona Lisa drawn by Leonardo da Vinci, which is a very famous painting. And also this is Albert Einstein with his, math rules and theories, and also in other fields like science. So listen now to the program speaking about talents.
Good morning. Today we are continuing with our series on the mind and intelligence. In our studio here today we have Gary Simpson, an educational psychologist who will tell us something about the secrets of being a genius. Welcome, Gary.
Thank you. Well, for many years it has been said that a genius is born with special abilities and possesses high intelligence. For example, a genius is characterized by strong individuality, imagination, and creativity, in addition to extreme intelligence. We apply the term genius to Leonardo da Vinci, Albert Einstein, and many more.
Does a genius possess a superior talent in any specific field?
Yes, certainly. Einstein, for instance, was a genius in physics and mathematics, while da Vinci was gifted in many areas such as art, engineering, and philosophy.
How did Leonardo da Vinci enrich himself to develop greater intelligence? Isn't it estimated that his IQ was approximately 220 and that he possessed great skill and creativity?
Yes, that is a fact. Leonardo himself stated that there were 7 secrets that could help you to become a genius. Firstly, he said that one must have an incredible curiosity about one's surrounding world, as well as a burning desire to discover and achieve. Secondly, he insisted that knowledge must be constantly tested through experiences. Thirdly, he stated that the senses need to be constantly sharpened, so that there can be an understanding of the true nature of things, and not just the outer appearance of things we observe. The 4th secret is that we must accept vagueness and trust forces that can influence our lives. The 5th characteristic is that one must develop a balance between art and science in order to live a varied and interesting life. His 6th secret was that one must lead a healthy lifestyle, because he felt health and fitness would boost mental power.
So should we be more aware of our diet in order to improve our IQs?
Most definitely. If we eat healthily, we will boost our energy levels and our ability to think clearly and creatively. Remember that creativity is essential to being a genius.
What was his final secret?
He felt that all the phenomena in the world are connected in some way. That is, energy, laws, nature, and so on.
We know that a genius may come in many forms. Leonardo was artistic. What can you tell us about Albert Einstein? We know he was a mathematics and physics genius. But did his genius show itself in early childhood, or did he develop it later in life?
Let me tell you about Einstein when he was young. When he was 5 years old, his father gave him a pocket compass. He immediately realized that there was something in the empty space that moved the needle. This observation left a lasting impression on his mind.
Do highly intelligent children have a clearer understanding of situations, or some sort of superior memory? Is that what sets them apart?
Yes, they differentiate themselves from others with great originality of thought. For example, when Einstein was 6 years old, he began various creative activities and built models and mechanical devices for fun. When he was at school, he developed a strong liking for mathematics, but he hated the way it was taught by teachers using strict learning methods.
Is there any way that we can encourage our children to strive for higher goals?
There are many ways. I would advise families to switch off the TV, as it's not a creative activity. I also think that it's a good idea to encourage children to read a variety of books and do arts and crafts. These activities provide a stimulating environment for children and encourage them to think creatively.
So, it seems that creativity and the role of the environment are crucial in becoming a genius.
Certainly, but a positive self-image is very important too. These children often carry a little notebook or PDA to write down creative ideas and thoughts based on their observations. Yet, most importantly, these super intelligent children ask many questions and they are extremely imaginative. But don't assume that it's all work and no play for them. They also have fun and enjoy life to the full.
Thank you for a most interesting discussion.
So that was the part for the listening. So what we have listened was a program, okay, on a radio telling us about how to identify a genius or a talented person and what are the characteristics of this. Now we're going to have some questions after the listening. As you know, you remember this conversation before, so let's fill the spaces as we heard. So besides intelligence, other characteristics of a genius are strong individualism, imagination, and creativity. And for 2, when he spoke about Leonardo da Vinci, believed that curiosity about the surrounding world is one of the secrets of being a genius. And for number 3 also, for Leonardo da Vinci, believed you need sharp senses so you can understand the nature of things. And also for 4, he also believed that it is important to lead a healthy lifestyle as this increases mental power. And for 5, Albert Einstein was considered to be a genius in mathematics and physics. And for number 6, the what of Albert Einstein, the pocket compass that was given by his father. So the pocket compass Albert Einstein received from his father had a strong influence on him. And for 7, as a child, Einstein hated the way math was taught in the schools. So that was the part of the listening. So let's go and talk about you. Now you're third secondary and you're just 2 or 3 months to finish your high school. So let's talk about your job in the future. So what career path do you want to follow and why? You can see here in the photo we got a cook, a doctor, a lawyer, maybe a teacher, a worker, an engineer, a chef or a waiter, and someone else, maybe a secretary. So you should have started earlier to think about your career. where you want to go, what do you want to do, what do you want to study, what do you need, what average, where. So all these questions you need to ask yourself so you get yourself ready for the future career. And this is really one of the most important decisions you'll ever make your whole life. So let's ask these questions and help you find a way to do the same for yourself. So first, I ask myself, what is this problem about and what do I need to find the answer? I see that the problem asks me to offer some advice to solve the problem of which major should someone choose. So I will need to know who the person is, and I will need to know what the problem is, and finally I need to know what the possible solutions are. So what do you want to do? Who's the person you want to be in the future, and if there are any problems, how you're gonna find some solutions for them. For example, if we have a problem, how are we gonna solve it? Let's take an example or a situation. So Khaled needs to decide what area of study to major in when he goes to college. He's very intelligent and has excellent grades, so he would do well in anything. Let's offer some advice to help solve this problem. So what is the problem? Let's take an option. Now, his problem is that his parents are pushing him to become a doctor because he would always have a secure job and make enough money to live on. The other option is that now Khaled, he spends all his free time making paintings. He loves doing this and is considering a career as a professional artist, which his parents are unhappy about. So this is the problem with Khaled. Khaled, his parents want him to be a doctor because this is a great job. It's a secure job. He can always find a way to live on. He can make some good money. He can feel so much respected. But Khaled feels that he's an artist, so he spends most of his time doing some drawing and paintings. So he doesn't want to make his parents angry, and really he wants to follow his passions. So what we're gonna do here? So his parents are pushing him to become a doctor, and Khaled wants to be an artist. We can use these words to talk to Khaled. We can say it's an immature decision for a young man to see the future. If he wants to be an artist, he's gonna reach a dead-end job. Well, actually, he's gonna stay unemployed, and also this kind of artistic job has no job security. So it's an impractical decision for Khaled. So he can take, his artistic, compassion or passion for drawing as a hobby, and he can go for his practical life and become a doctor. So we have two sample solutions. The first solution, we can, advise Khaled, well, I think a medical degree is an excellent choice for your brother, because, you're talking to Khaled's brother. It's a major decision because being trained as a doctor is a rewarding job. It entails job security. For the second solution to advise Khaled or Khaled's brother, I don't think that Khaled should become a professional artist because his parents wouldn't be happy about it. He could always continue drawing as a hobby and at the same time follow his parents' advice. Yet, it is true that if this is his vocation and he really believes in it, he should go for his dream. He needs to be determined and sure about it. So the first solution is that you choose something secure. You choose something for your future, and you don't only think about yourself. You need money, you need a house, you may have a family, children. So you're not going to be alone. So the best choice is that you choose to be a doctor and you get some support from your parents and be very successful and practical in your life. And there will always be some time for you to practice your hobby. So you're doing the two things. So we had some examination practice, if you remember, in the previous lessons. So it's a little bit a practice for your grammar, and we talked about, how we use whether and wrong, and how we change into from direct speech into reported speech. So if you have questions, let's see how we do it. Do you remember these questions? The first one, which is a direct question: are you working today, Peter? He asked me. So if you have a direct question, we use if or whether. So the sentence becomes, he wanted to know if or whether, and you have present continuous here and use the past continuous. Also for number 2, I rang you last night, John, said Brian. Brian explained to John that he, and used the word rung, which is the past of ring. And finally, I've been standing in this queue for 2 hours, said the man. So the man complained, and we complete the sentence. So for number 1, he wanted to know whether or if Peter was working that day. I rang you last night, John, said Brian. Brian explained to John that he had rung him the previous night. And finally, the man complained about standing in that queue for 2 hours. If we move on maybe to the final skill for today, which is writing. So you, inshallah, graduated and finished the high school and you're looking for a job. So you go for, some websites. You need to write your resume. And also you need to go reading the news and some magazines to find a life job or a good job for you. So have you ever written any kind of a letter of application, and what for? So today we'll tell you about the basic things and the most important tips to follow so you can make an impressive CV or a resume. So you start with your resume, you put your picture like this, and this is how you write a letter of application. So what we're going to do, we start with the greeting. So use an appropriate greeting, and it's always formal. Then you start with the opening paragraph. For the opening paragraph, use set phrases to state what you're applying for. Say where you saw the relevant notice or the advertisement. Then the main part, you mention your age, describe any relevant qualifications, qualities, or experience, and then give information about your present situation or work experience, and finally state any relevant interest or hobbies. And finally, for the closing paragraph, explain why you think your application should be taken into consideration. Then ask for any additional information you require. If relevant, mention that you enclose a CV or a reference. And the final step is that when you sign off, you use a formal signature ending and also some ending words like sincerely yours or faithfully yours. So let's see if you have some time for like 2 or 3 weeks on summer and you're looking for volunteer job because you need experience. So you have seen this advertisement and have decided to apply as a volunteer. Write your letter of application. What you're going to do, you read the volunteers needed. Do you have some free time during the summer? Would you like to help give something back to the community? Volunteers are needed to work as assistants to instructors at the Wilton Community Center. What do you need? Volunteers must 1. Like working with people and be able to work in a team. 2. Be skilled in one of the following areas: art, sports, computer technology. And also number 3, be at least 16 years old. Send applications to John White at Wilton Community Center, 43 Willow Lane, Wilton, and this should be by 10 of May. So you read that and you started this kind of a letter of application, which needs volunteers in art and technology. So here you go. Let's do the steps and the tips that we mentioned before. You start with this formal greeting. Dear Mr. John White, I'm interested in an opportunity to volunteer with the Wilton Community Center. I have experience working with people and would like to continue to do so in a volunteer capacity. I volunteered as a coach at the Chamberlain School and enjoyed being able to help teenagers learn during their first experience in a classroom. In this position, I assisted with schools projects. For the past several winters, I volunteered with children on the slopes of a local ski resort, assisting coaches with teaching basic skiing to toddlers and elementary school age children. If the Wilton Community Center has a need for a dedicated volunteer, I would be thrilled to have the opportunity to assist. My schedule is flexible and I'm available evening and weekend hours as well as during the day. Sincerely, your name, you write it and you sign off. All right, so what we've learned today, we learned some grammar about the reported speech and how we really do, reported speech with questions. If you have direct question, we use whether. If we don't have direct question, we don't use whether. That is a very good, reminder for you. And also, we had some, 5 minutes listening about the two talented, very famous, geniuses, which is, Albert Einstein, the mastermind of math and science, and Leonardo da Vinci, the greatest artist of all time. And also we got some speaking about Khaled and his parents, and we helped him solve a problem. We got some, examination practice of how we use some appropriate words in the sentences. And finally, we just finished talking about how we write a letter of application starting with an opening paragraph, do some main parts, and close the paragraph with some nice words like sincerely yours, and so on. So these were taken from Traveler 6, your book. And finally, for more information and lessons, you can visit our website, ain.egu.sa, and then follow us on Twitter for ain_egu, and on this number for any inquiry or any updates. Thank you for watching this. Hope I see you again. Until then, Assalamu alaikum.